Did you know that the narcissist's greatest fear is not abandonment in the way most people imagine? It is far deeper than that. A crushing existential realization that they themselves are the architects of their own misery. This is the moment when they are forced to confront an uncomfortable truth, that every strategy, every manipulation, every act of control has not only failed to bring lasting happiness, but has actually destroyed the only real love they have ever known. Carl Jung described this as the shadow, the part of the psyche we refuse to acknowledge, the hidden self we cannot bear to see. For the narcissist, this shadow manifests as a profound emptiness, a fear of exposure, and an inability to love authentically. To avoid this unbearable confrontation, they construct lives governed by performance, manipulation, and constant management of perception. Yet no matter how tightly they cling to control, truth has a way of surfacing, and real love is relentless in exposing what is false. When their carefully maintained mask begins to slip, the narcissist faces the terrifying realization that they have lost more than admiration or supply. They have lost love itself, something irretrievable and real. Today, we are going to explore this breaking point, uncover why narcissists are simultaneously deceived and self-destructive, and examine the inner shifts that occur when truth finally breaks through their illusion. You will also discover how, as an empath, your calm presence and deliberate detachment can quietly dismantle the false world they have constructed. And most importantly, we will explore what Jung hoped we would understand about embracing our shadow to reclaim freedom and transform pain into strength. Carl Jung introduced the concept of the persona, the face or mask an individual presents to the world, a carefully curated identity designed to protect and shape perception. For most people, the persona is merely one aspect of a multifaceted self, a filter we adjust depending on circumstance. For the narcissist, however, this mask becomes their entire sense of being. Their self-worth is not rooted internally. It depends entirely on external validation and the responses of others. A deep, gnawing emptiness underlies every action, and the primary purpose of their life becomes the meticulous management of perception. They believe they are in control of other people, yet in reality, they are constantly manipulating how others perceive them to preserve the fragile construction of self. Relationships become tactical arenas where charm, calculated praise, and sudden withdrawal serve not to foster connection, but to create dependency. Every conversation, every interaction is engineered to maintain dominance because equality triggers an existential terror within them. But when confronted with authentic love, the narcissist faces a dilemma. Genuine connection demands vulnerability, honesty, and the courage to be seen. To reveal their true self would expose insecurities they cannot face, so rather than embracing reality, they double down on performance and control. From the very first moments of a relationship, the narcissist is acting defensively, constructing a facade of perfection designed to prevent you from seeing their true nature. If you recognize these patterns, subscribing to the Zero Mind channel will ensure you remain aware and equipped for future explorations into personal and spiritual growth. When a narcissist enters a relationship, they do not perceive their partner as a separate, autonomous person. Instead, the partner becomes a mirror, a canvas for projection. Projection is the unconscious process of attributing one's own feelings, desires, or traits onto another person. The narcissist projects an idealized, often unattainable version of themselves onto their partner, seeing in them the perfection, brilliance, and connection they crave but cannot embody. This is why the initial stage of a relationship, often referred to as lovebombing, feels intoxicatingly intense. What appears to be love is a highly calculated performance, a sophisticated mirroring process in which the narcissist learns your deepest desires, your unspoken dreams, and your vulnerabilities, only to reflect them back as if they were their own. The overwhelming speed and intensity of this phase are designed to create dependency before you can discern the truth, Real connection, in contrast, develops gradually, requiring patience, mutual understanding, and vulnerability. By mimicking your ideal, the narcissist positions themselves as the perfect partner, generating gratitude and attachment. Once this psychological dependency is secured, sustaining the act of perfection becomes exhausting, and the withdrawal begins. Silence replaces affection, subtle criticism replaces praise. This deliberate shift is not accidental, but a calculated maneuver. Genuine love becomes intolerable to the narcissist because it exposes the very insecurities and emptiness they desperately hide, forcing them to devalue and destabilize the person who dares to see them clearly. After the initial stages of intense idealization and mirroring, the narcissist's behavior undergoes a stark transformation. Affection is no longer offered freely. It is weaponized as a tool to undermine, destabilize, and control. This is the stage where the partner's sense of self begins to erode, piece by piece. Jung referred to this as ego erosion, a deliberate dismantling of identity and self-esteem by another. This is not accidental or the byproduct of a bad relationship. It is a purposeful strategy. Once dependency is established, the narcissist no longer seeks a partner. They seek control. By systematically creating doubt, insecurity, and emotional instability, they ensure that the other person remains tethered to their validation, dependent on their approval for even the smallest sense of self-worth. Calculated charm is replaced by withdrawal, praise by criticism, attention by cold indifference. Each behavior is intentional, a means to reinforce the hierarchy they desperately need. The deeper the bond once was, the more devastating the erosion becomes. The narcissist cannot tolerate equality, honesty, or authentic emotional intimacy because these threaten to dismantle the fragile identity they have built on illusion. In this process, they destroy not only the partner's sense of self, but also the potential for authentic connection, a loss that, paradoxically, they experience themselves. Every strategy designed to maintain control deepens the chasm between what they desire and what they are capable of sustaining. The narcissist's collapse is both inevitable and instructive. As the partner begins to reclaim their own power, the illusions that held the relationship together unravel. Narcissists cannot survive being truly seen. When the facade cracks, the emptiness beneath is revealed, and they are forced to confront their shadow. This confrontation is unbearable, and many respond with anger, denial, or further manipulation. Yet, it is precisely in these moments of exposure that the empath's greatest strength emerges. By remaining calm, detaching, and refusing to participate in the false narrative, the empath allows the narcissist's illusions to collapse under their own weight. Jung taught that recognizing the shadow, both in ourselves and in others, is the path to liberation. For the empath, understanding the narcissist's patterns is not about resentment, it is about empowerment. Each act of withdrawal, each moment of silence, is a subtle but powerful assertion of truth. In witnessing the collapse of the narcissist's control, the empath does more than survive. They reclaim agency, heal from emotional erosion, and step fully into their own authentic life, leaving the shadow of manipulation behind. The narcissist's downfall becomes a mirror, reflecting not their own redemption, but the empath's awakening. The methods narcissists use to exert control are subtle, slow, and corrosive, but their effects are profoundly damaging over time. What begins as small, seemingly harmless comments or actions gradually erodes the victim's confidence and perception of reality. Compliments become laced with backhanded intent, such as, "You did well for someone like you," or, "It's impressive you're so confident, you don't care what people think." Each word is meticulously chosen to instill self-doubt and force the victim to chase approval that can never truly be earned. Emotional warmth is inconsistent. Affectionate days are punctuated by sudden cold silences, This unpredictability is not a quirk of personality, but a psychological conditioning designed to keep the victim anxious, hyper-aware, and dependent on the narcissist's approval for their own sense of stability and self-worth. At the heart of this pattern is gaslighting, one of the narcissist's most insidious tools. Gaslighting goes far beyond lying. It is a deliberate, systematic attempt to make the victim question their own memory, perception, and sanity. Statements like, "I never said that," "You're imagining things," or "That's not how it happened at all," are repeated with unwavering conviction until the victim begins to doubt their own mind. Over time, the victim's sense of reality becomes so compromised that they increasingly rely on the narcissist to define what is true. This manufactured dependency allows the narcissist to gain control effortlessly, creating the illusion of omnipotence while masking their own insecurity. Through projection, the narcissist attributes their flaws and inadequacies onto their partner, using the resulting self-doubt to temporarily feel superior and composed. Once the narcissist succeeds in creating this internalized self-doubt, control shifts effortlessly from effort to entitlement. The victim begins to question themselves constantly, internalizing blame and wondering what is wrong with them, rather than recognizing the behavior for what it is. At this point, the narcissist no longer has to actively dominate. They have been granted authority by the very person they manipulate. This is a turning point in the relationship, a moment when the dynamic has been inverted so that love is mistaken for ownership. The narcissist's misunderstanding of love as possession rather than partnership ensures that any connection is doomed to become destructive. The partner becomes an object to be managed, monitored, and controlled, rather than a human being to be respected, seen, or cherished. In the narcissist's mind, love and power are inseparable. Unlike a healthy individual who distinguishes intimacy from dominance, the narcissist equates being loved with exercising control. For them, relationships are not spaces for mutual growth or connection. They are arenas for ownership. Carl Jung observed that where love reigns, the will to power is absent, and where power dominates, love is inherently compromised. This explains why a narcissist's relationship is always limiting and controlling. Your achievements are co-opted to enhance their image. Your empathy is leveraged to regulate their emotional state. Your time, energy, and even joy are manipulated to serve their needs. Freedom, independence, and authentic expression are threats to their carefully maintained illusion of control. This distorted view transforms every interaction into a test. The narcissist expects constant compliance, prioritization of their needs, and unwavering submission. Intimacy is never about revealing one's authentic self. It is a demonstration of obedience. Fear is interpreted as respect, and attachment that arises from cycles of abuse is mistaken for unbreakable connection. True love, grounded in respect, equality, and freedom, presents an existential threat. To engage authentically would require removing their mask and confronting the inner emptiness they have spent a lifetime avoiding. Unable to reconcile reality with their constructed persona, the narcissist either attempts to control love entirely or destroys it, forcing the relationship to conform to their need for possession. Ownership becomes their ultimate, albeit destructive, illusion of connection. One of the most effective and subtle tools in this arsenal is silence. In a healthy relationship, silence can be reflective, restorative, or even comforting, but the narcissist weaponizes it. They use absence and withdrawal strategically, creating anxiety, confusion, and emotional instability in their partner. Whereas criticism can be confronted and debated, silence provides no means of resolution, leaving the victim trapped in uncertainty. After a period of intense attention and idealization, a sudden withdrawal leaves the victim panicked and desperate for understanding. They replay interactions, searching for mistakes that do not exist, attempting to repair a situation that was never theirs to fix. This push-pull dynamic conditions the partner to seek approval and predict the narcissist's emotional shifts, creating a psychologically addictive bond. The use of silence is rooted in fear, the narcissist's fear of authentic intimacy. They pull the partner close to secure validation, only to retreat when the connection becomes genuine and threatens exposure. Each pause, each withheld word is a calculated measure to regain control, maintaining distance while testing compliance. This cycle prevents any true bond from forming, ensuring the narcissist maintains dominance while fostering dependency. For the victim, misunderstanding silence as a reflection of their own failure perpetuates exhaustion and self-blame. The turning point occurs when the victim recognizes that silence is a weapon, not a reflection of reality or love. By refusing to react, to apologize unnecessarily, or to chase validation, the power of silence collapses, revealing the fragility beneath the narcissist's carefully curated persona. The ultimate breaking point for the narcissist is not confrontation, argument, or exposure. It is indifference. When the victim stops reacting, when anger, pleading, and tears are replaced by calm, unwavering neutrality, the narcissist encounters a psychological state they cannot manage. Indifference exposes the illusion of control, dismantling the structure that has allowed them to manipulate and dominate. In this moment, the carefully constructed facade crumbles. Their strategies, charm, and psychological games lose efficacy, and the narcissist is forced to confront the truth of their emptiness, insecurities, and the impossibility of maintaining control over another human being's mind. It is this quiet yet total collapse, the victim's withdrawal of belief, that marks the beginning of their unraveling, a profound and instructive lesson in the limits of manipulation and the enduring power of self-possession. Throughout the relationship, the narcissist believes they are the orchestrator of every emotional reaction. They assume responsibility for every smile, tear, or display of anger, interpreting each response as proof of their significance. Praise reinforces their superiority, while complaints, arguments, or tears confirm their ability to provoke deep feelings in another. Even negative emotions serve a purpose. Anger is interpreted as connection, tears as evidence of impact, and hatred as proof of attachment. This constant monitoring of another person's internal state becomes a psychological feedback loop, affirming the narcissist's self-importance. Every reaction is a metric of control, every emotional fluctuation a sign of relevance. This dependence on others' emotions lays the foundation for their eventual collapse when indifference replaces response. When a survivor begins to disengage, the narcissist is initially bewildered. Silence is a language they cannot read, a tactic they cannot interpret. They assume new behaviors are manipulative, a strategic ploy designed to restore the old dynamic. This misunderstanding fuels an escalation of their previous tactics. Compliments, apologies, and gestures of affection are intensified in a desperate attempt to provoke engagement. When positive attempts fail, they move to provoke negative reactions, sending accusations, insults, or cruel statements intended to trigger anger. Even these methods are a form of emotional experimentation, testing boundaries to see if they can elicit any response. Anger, in their eyes, is preferable to indifference because it confirms that they remain central in the victim's psyche. If their attempts to provoke an emotional response fail, narcissists often resort to creating crises. They may invent emergencies, health scares, financial disasters, or personal calamities designed to compel a reaction. This manufactured urgency pressures the survivor to step into the caretaker role, rekindling the illusion of emotional influence. Every manipulation is a desperate attempt to regain control over a person who is no longer responding to their carefully constructed stimuli. These tactics fail when the survivor maintains detachment. Silence is not compliance. Indifference is not avoidance. It signals an internal shift in the survivor, a refusal to grant emotional energy to a manipulator. At this stage, the narcissist is confronted with the reality that their power depends entirely on the participation of the victim. and without it, they are left facing their own emptiness. This psychological shift is profound. As the narcissist experiences consistent silence, the cognitive dissonance between expectation and reality becomes unbearable. Every previous attempt to reestablish control fails, and the illusion of omnipotence dissolves. Carl Jung described this as the moment when projection ends and reality begins. The partner is no longer an idealized object or an enemy to be manipulated, but a fully realized human being with agency. The narcissist faces a brutal truth. Their relevance, their perceived power, and their control were never inherent qualities. These were borrowed through the engagement and emotional investment of another person. When that energy is withdrawn, the narcissist's identity, which has always been constructed externally, begins to destabilize, leaving them alone with the insecurities they have spent a lifetime avoiding. The narcissist's deepest fear extends beyond rejection, failure, or even death. It is the fear of being forgotten, of fading into irrelevance without leaving a trace. For a personality built entirely around perception and external validation, this is a profound existential threat. Even negative attention serves to affirm existence. Indifference is erasure. Jung's concept of the persona illustrates this clearly. While most people distinguish between mask and self, the narcissist has fused them entirely. Their identity is the performance, the image, the projected superiority. To have that persona ignored is to confront the emptiness at their core. Desperate attempts to be unforgettable often manifest as manipulative drama, cruelty, and attention-seeking behaviors, ironically guaranteeing social distance and reinforcing the very outcome they fear most: invisibility. The narcissist cannot comprehend that being forgotten is not malicious. It is a natural consequence of the survivor reclaiming their life. As the survivor heals, forms healthy relationships, and establishes boundaries, memories of the narcissist naturally diminish in significance. Each day of disengagement is a silent indictment of the narcissist's impermanence. Their once central role slowly fades until it barely registers. This quiet disappearance is far more devastating than overt punishment or confrontation because it exposes a truth that cannot be argued away. Their impact was temporary, their constructed image dispensable, and their dominance contingent entirely on the emotional participation of another. Indifference becomes a mirror reflecting the impermanence of control, forcing a narcissist to confront the reality of their own unresolved emptiness. A particularly cruel irony exists for the narcissist in the presence of genuine love. The very connection that could provide healing, compassion, and acceptance is experienced as judgment. Real love exposes the inconsistencies in their constructed identity, highlights patterns of deception, and forces confrontation with the vulnerabilities they have long avoided. Every act of kindness reminds them of their lack of authenticity. Every act of forgiveness shines a light on their refusal to take responsibility. Every demonstration of emotional openness exposes their own fear of intimacy. Authentic love is not seen as a source of solace. It is interpreted as a critique, a mirror reflecting the self they cannot face. Their instinct is to sabotage or withdraw, to protect themselves from the unbearable confrontation with their own limitations. Faced with authentic love, narcissists engage in projection to preserve their fragile sense of self. The loving partner is reframed as naive, their kindness dismissed as weakness. Arguments are provoked, chaos is introduced, and calm intimacy becomes threatening. The narcissist must search for faults in both the love offered and the partner themselves, because acknowledging the purity of the connection would require recognizing their own inadequacy. This self-defeating cycle reinforces the very emptiness they fear. Love as judgment creates both opportunity and terror. Opportunity to experience genuine connection, but terror because experiencing it would demand abandoning the false self, confronting insecurities, and dismantling a lifetime of defense mechanisms. Their fear of exposure outweighs any potential benefit of intimacy, perpetuating a cycle of self-sabotage. They crave validation that comes from being loved, yet simultaneously refuse the responsibilities a real relationship demands. They seek closeness without vulnerability, admiration without accountability, and connection without authenticity. This impossible combination traps them in a repetitive, self-defeating loop. Narcissists deliberately pursue partners capable of deep, unconditional love, drawing on them for energy, attention, and affirmation. But when the relationship begins to reveal truths about their own fragility and constructed persona, they dismantle it. The bond that could have nourished them is destroyed to protect their false self. Every loving interaction becomes another opportunity to perform, manipulate, and ultimately sabotage the one thing they secretly need but cannot accept. Every encounter with a narcissist begins with a meticulously crafted persona, the charming, perceptive, witty individual they present to the world. This artificial personality feels authentic, so convincing that even the survivor cannot initially suspect deception. Carl Jung explained that while everyone has a social mask, it becomes problematic when a person entirely identifies with it. This is the narcissist's reality. The persona is not a mask they wear, but the very essence of who they believe themselves to be. The shattering of this persona is a slow, painful process, first noticeable through small inconsistencies in behavior, mechanical gestures, and moments of coldness that pierce the illusion of connection and gradually reveal the emptiness beneath. The moment of true realization for the survivor is quiet but seismic. Slowly, clarity emerges. The person they loved never actually existed. They were not in a relationship with a flawed human being, but with a carefully constructed illusion designed to mirror and manipulate. Every act of kindness, affection, or charm now reads as a performance, every apology as insincere. Grief mixes with profound betrayal as they understand that their trust and vulnerability were exploited as tools in a manipulative performance. Once this clarity is achieved, the narcissist's power collapses. Their charm loses all effect, their attempts at reconciliation appear desperate, and the survivor can finally disengage emotionally, seeing the empty foundation that underpinned every interaction. A narcissist's self-image suffers its deepest wound when they observe your happiness and success after the relationship ends. This shatters their belief system, challenging their notion that they were essential to your life. Their internal narrative relies on the assumption that you cannot thrive without them, that your grief validates their significance. Healing, independence, and achievement directly contradict this illusion, producing psychological distress. Your joy and peace are undeniable proof that their control was never inherent, that your identity, accomplishments, and emotional resilience exist independently. Each success, each fulfilled desire highlights their irrelevance, exposes their temporary influence, and forces a narcissist to confront the reality of their own emotional inadequacy, leaving them destabilized and powerless. Because they cannot accept your independence, narcissists often attempt to distort reality. They may tell others that your happiness is fake, claim your achievements are the result of their influence, or subtly interfere with your new relationships. Every effort to reinsert themselves into your story is an attempt to reclaim centrality, to convince themselves and others that your life still revolves around them. When these efforts fail, they may escalate to direct interference, contacting friends, partners, or colleagues to create doubt and disruption. These behaviors are not about you. They are about their inability to process the psychological truth. Your happiness and peace are self-generated, and they have no claim over your emotional state or life trajectory. As a survivor, recognizing these patterns is empowering. You understand that the narcissist's actions are predictable and rooted in their own instability, not in your behavior. Your happiness is a boundary, a quiet declaration that you will no longer participate in manipulation or emotional coercion. Each act of self-care, independence, and joy reinforces your autonomy and contrasts sharply with their unresolved inner emptiness. Your healing is a living demonstration of authenticity and psychological wholeness, qualities the narcissist cannot cultivate within themselves. By reclaiming your life, you dismantle the false narrative they maintained, forcing them to confront the ultimate truth. They were not the central character in your story, only a transient negative presence you have successfully overcome.